Last time on A Soldier's Life, Eric befriended Rena, who is 19, so it's fine for him to be into her, and had her help him with learning more about magic. Poor Damien is already replaced. He learns that he has an affinity to both healing and guardian. Eric also does weapon training with Firth and a short but muscular man named Constantine who beats him up. Then it's time for the Griffin hunt. The party finds a dungeon, and Rena tells Eric that dungeons are alive and that the creatures that die in there gets absorbed and repurposed. And from nowhere, a griffin attacks. They kill it almost instantly, and Eric is sent to deal with the nest. He retrieves an egg and gets a pillow and 2 silver for it. Rena lore drops that the Emperor is 300 plus years old and that she will most likely have to marry one of his many sons. That sucks. Then Eric gets fucked by the dungeon, which makes me and Constantine laugh. Monsters attacks. Eric recklessly joins the fights, gets yelled at and used as bait, but gets rewarded with his first ever Apex Essence. And Constantine finds a safe room and the Baron's son. Alive. For now, at least. Chapter 16. The Baron's Son. Constantine wore a grin as he continued. The little boy got himself trapped on an island in the center of the chamber. There is a lake and an island only accessible by stepping stones. The water is also home to a giant aquatic centipedes. They can't reach more than 5 feet out of the water, according to the idiot on the island. I love that he's an idiot. He sucks. Fuck this guy. I hope he's dead. Castile asked sternly, "So you talked with Justin Cicero. How is his health?" Constantine smirked. "He tried to order me to save him. He said he had a commander's rank in the army and had the right to command me." Okay, he does suck. "He has been catching and cooking the glowing fish with his fire spell form." Delmar asked, "How did he get trapped? What happened to his adventuring party?" Constantine frowned. "He lost one man to the spiders. It was his healing mage. A spider came from under the bridge and got him from behind. The water centipedes have a strong paralytic cloud attack. His 2 heavy fighters inhaled it, fell into the water, and drowned while they were crossing the stepping stones." Wow. Firth asked, "What happened to Marius, the Pathfinder?" Constantine shook his head. He did not say. But if the dungeon only allows 7 people to enter and we number 6, then it's safe to assume Marius is also dead. "What information do you have on the water creatures?" Castile asked. Constantine grunted. "Glowing fish light up the chamber and water, like the fire beetles did in the prior chambers. The 6 centipedes are all about 10 feet long and can easily be seen moving in the water. But instead of legs, they have 100 fins. They're really fast, and I think that's why Justin's team was easily ambushed when crossing." Mage Castile frowned. "My shadow chains do not work underwater. Will they attack along the shoreline, or just those on the stepping stones?" Constantine shook his head. "There is no shoreline. The chamber opens right to the stepping stones. The island in the middle has a shoreline, about 30 feet circular." "What is the likelihood of getting all of us to the island with the Baron's son?" Castile asked. Constantine shook his head again. Delmar suggested, "As long as we don't breathe in the paralytic gas, can we sprint to the island?" "No," Constantine said. "The stepping stones are about 5 feet across, and it is about 5 feet between the stones. If you stop on the stones, then you'll likely get swarmed." Castile heaved a sigh. "We have 1 instant ice potion. It will freeze all water in a 15-foot radius. If we can catch enough of them in the ice, we can eliminate all the water threats." Delmar asked, "Who is going to hop on the stones?" Me. "Draw them all in and freeze them." No one moved to volunteer. A long, heavy silence ensued. Castile finally tried to entice someone. 2 essences of their choice to the volunteer. Still, no one volunteered. But I was thinking that everyone else was thinking. You can't use the essences if you are dead. Mage Castile upped the offer. 3, and whatever is in the reward chest for the room. Firth started to fidget. A chest. Delmar cocked his eyebrow, thinking Firth was going to cave and volunteer. I will do it, I said. All eyes turned to me. I already got some experience being the bait, and you'll have my back, I said confidently. Or at least I thought I sounded confident. Instead, I pissed myself on the spot, and everyone laughed. I removed the potions from my dimensional space, and Mage Castile pulled the aqua-colored potion out. We got this as a gift from a merchant for rescuing him from a Null war party. Keep the lid off and throw it in the water when all 6 creatures are within range. Delmar and Constantine had something akin to ice spikes that they applied to their boots so they would not slip on the ice. Okay, cool and convenient, then why the fuck did they bring those? We all walked down the long tunnel. As we approached end, a blue light highlighted the room. When we reached end, it was actually quite beautiful. Some luminescent fish lit up the water, giving the chamber a blue, ethereal light. The stepping stones were round and dark gray, heading out to an island in the center. A young man stood on the island, studying us. "You back, soldier?" he yelled excitedly. "At least you brought help. Ready to get me off this island?" I hated him. I didn't like him from the second I heard his voice. To make matters worse, I was about to risk my life for him. Constantine walked up to me. "Don't worry about catching them all. Get to the second stone and toss it when the first one attacks. Then they emerge. Hold your breath as long as you can. We'll be right behind you." He patted my back reassuringly. I nodded, but was questioning my self-preservation thought process. It was a good 10 minutes of preparation, with the man on the island screaming the entire time for us to hurry up. Castile told me to avoid falling into the water after I dropped the potion. Oh, thanks. Jokingly saying they wouldn't have time to ship me out of the ice before I died. Wow. I could see the snake-looking creatures in the water. The glowing fish scattered from in front of them as they swam. I took a breath and leaped to the first stepping stone. I had expected it to be stable and nearly fell when it wobbled underneath me. Ripples of water spread from the stone, calling the creatures to me. I got my feet quickly under me. The creatures raced toward me incredibly fast. Wow, here we just got thrown into it. Oh my god. 2 were trailing far behind, back near the island. I waited, a short sword in one hand and the potion in the other, for them to get close. Constantine yelled, "Get to the next platform!" I had forgotten the plan to get to the second platform when I stumbled. I needed to give everyone room to fight. I ran and leapt. The wobble of the platform had me not getting a great push off, and I came up a little short. My bad knee slammed hard, and I heard a crack in my knee as my lower body splashed into the water. Water filled my boots as I scrambled to get on the platform. Somehow I didn't spill the potion, but the knuckles on my sword hand were smashed and bleeding as I rolled onto the floating stone. "Damien, help!" An insectoid head broke the surface. I swung my sword as the centipede spewed a foul mist into my face. My blade cut its rubbery face. I swung twice more, hacking away. The exertion meant I couldn't hold my breath much longer. I tossed the potion into the water, unaware if all the swimming bees were close enough yet. I watched in fascination as the water crystallized and the ice spread rapidly. I love that he's like almost dying. He has this creature in front of him. He's like, "Look at the the ice. Do you see how it crystallizes?" beautifully. I love that. Constantine landed behind me, and I inhaled in relief, desperately needing the air. The foul mist had not fully dissipated, and I felt the paralytic taking hold. It was hard to move and breathe, but my fellow soldiers were around me, hacking away as the centipedes were trapped in the ice. My feet felt cold, but it wasn't from the paralyzing mist. My boots and pants froze, and then I was a statue. My frozen clothes from the waist down held up my paralyzed body. I watched as 5 of the 6 centipedes were trapped in the ice and hacked to death. The last one lunged up onto the ice, and its long body slid toward me. Delmar intercepted it and hacked into the body, stopping it. Hell yeah! Firth walked into my line of sight. I mean, these are incredible warriors. Like, they've just killed everything within, like, minutes. Like, they're insane, these guys. Damn. If I knew it was going to be this easy, I would have volunteered myself. He tapped my forehead. Hey, Linus, how long before you moves again? About a minute, I believe, I heard from behind me. He was correct, as I felt my movement slowly return. I slowly and painfully sucked in the precious air. If I had known the paralysis would have extended to my lungs, I would not have volunteered. I gasped, went down on one knee, and tried to remove my boots, now worried about frostbite. As I wrestled with the boots, the Baron's son came to us across the stones, wreaking something fierce. About time! Give me some food and you can hand me my essences from those creatures, mage. Ugh, why is he like... I get Draco Malfoy vibes from him. He's like a fucking asshole. But not as amazing as Draco, of course. I had only gotten one boot off, but looked up to see Mage Castillo staring at the man. More like Joffrey. More Joffrey. My bad. Fuck Draco. He's Joffrey. But no, Joffrey was a pussy. Yeah. He looked to be in his 20s, with weeks of haggard growth on his gaunt face. Delmar stepped between the mage and the Baron's son. Over here, First Citizen Justin. We can get you some rations. Delmar escorted Justin back up to the safe room before the confrontation with Mage Castillo erupted. No, he's already gone. Aw, I wanted more stupid lines from him. Mage Castillo stood over me as I rubbed my bare feet, trying to get the feeling back. I was still on the ice-covered second stepping stone. Nice work, Eric. She leaned down and placed 3 essences into my palm. 3 Apex Endurance essences. All 6 were Apex Endurance essences. The Baron's son took the reward chest as it materialized on the island. She said regrettably, Oh my god, bruh, what? He doesn't deserve that shit, you ass. He can just take the chest? He didn't do a damn thing. What about his claim on the essences? I asked, annoyed, starting to feel some life in my bare feet. Castile pursed her lips. He's a first citizen. My confused look prompted her to add. They fall under different laws. As a mage, are you not a first citizen as well? I asked. Castile huffed. No, you can only be born into first citizenship or raised by the Emperor for service. Otherwise, you need to be a descendant of a member of the First Legion. Oh. I had more questions, but didn't want to show my ignorance. So what's going to happen with Mr. Personality? I asked Mage Castile. She huffed a short laugh. I'll give him these 3 essences and tell him that was all we collected. He didn't see me collect them all, as he was too busy opening the chest on the island and securing whatever was in it. He will probably doubt me, so consume those quickly. You may get some indigestion, as you are only supposed to take 1 essence a day, but if you don't take them all now, that nitwit will confiscate them. Stay down here and take 1 every hour. I will see you in 2 hours. But he can just put them in his fucking storage space, no? Castile nodded at me, then she turned away and started walking back to the safe room. Constantine was the only one left at the passage heading up. he said. Since the reward chest appeared in this room, there will be no other threats. When you feel up to it, walk down to the next chamber and take an accounting of it. If Justin asks, we will tell him we left you behind to scout. Do not enter the room though. Just note what you see from the passageway so you have something to tell Justin if he asks. The dungeon's ecology will prevent the creatures from leaving their designated room. Couldn't we just kill the monsters from the passageway then? I asked, trying to find a loophole. Constantine shook his head in disappointment. I thought you were smarter than that, Eric. Instead of elaborating, he turned and left. I was left barefoot and alone on the floating stone, with 3 essences in my hand. I looked around and put the first essence into my mouth, thinking about what he meant. Then it struck me. The ant eggs were underground. The spiders were under the bridge, and the centipede fish were in the water and only came close after I leaped onto the first stone. All the monsters had only attacked after we entered the room. I surmised dungeons protected their creations from making killing them too easy. Once I had confirmed I was alone, I sent my wet, cold socks to my dimensional storage and brought out the dry socks. I put on the icy, frost-covered boots. I had a lot of time, so I decided to check out the island in the center of the chamber. I hopped to it and almost collapsed every time I landed. My knee was in serious pain, and I think I cracked the patella. On the island, I found the mess the Baron's on left. Piles of feces, fish bones, dirty clothes. Oh, fun. The smell was horrendous. Oh my god. I looked at the far side of the cavern. I still had a lot of time before I needed to return to the safe room. I knew curiosity killed a cat, but it couldn't hurt to take a peek. As Constantine said, I just needed to remain in the passageway. Will this go well? Chapter 17. Sisyphus Rock. I reached the far side of the chamber on the floating stepping stones. I wished I still had the healing potions in my dimensional space. I would have gladly taken some punishment for using one. But I had not been asked to store them after the fight. My knee was swelling, and I hobbled into the tunnel, looking back at the stones. Maybe this wasn't such a great idea. I winced at the thought of hopping back across the stones. Perhaps I would hobble down to the next rock and come back. My right knee quickly became so stiff it was difficult to bend, giving me a pronounced limp. As the light faded behind me, a new light at the end of the tunnel appeared in front of me. I was close, maybe 60 feet from the next room. I continued to the opening into the next chamber. Standing in the passage, I investigated the room. It was a smooth, conical stone dome. Lines of greenish light, like veins, lit up the dome. The lines seemed to pulse rhythmically. I stuck my head inside to look at the wall around the door. The lines were made by fist-sized snails, trailing glowing goo behind them. Yay! The floor of the doomed room was flat and consisted of brown dirt with some mounds near the center. I guess they hid whatever creature guarded the room. Curiously, I did not see an exit around the room anywhere. Was this the final room in this dungeon? Or maybe the snails were the monsters? Would they all fly together to form a giant snail? Oh my god, please, yes, make it real. I love that. I need it. Dude, oh. Fucking snails just fly together to form a huge snail. Oh, it's amazing. Why has no one done that? And if they have, please show me. Okay, that was a stupid thought. No, it's amazing. The first chamber had burrowers, so this chamber probably had burrowers, and the mounds in the center hid the creatures. Ants. I stared for about 40 minutes, then took out my second Apex Essence and ate it. Castile had said to wait at least an hour between. Shit. Castile was not joking about indigestion. I started making short belching sounds. accompanied by an attack of mini hiccups. My stomach roiled. I broke out into a cold sweat, and I sat down against the wall and then lay down till the feeling passed. I kept an eye on the room, waiting for my stomach and pulse rate to return to normal. I was definitely going to save that last Apex essence for much later. I pulled out some water and drank heavily before putting it back in my storage. I stayed seated until I estimated that it was getting close to the end of the 2 hours Castile gave me. Besides the snails making slow progress along the dome, I observed no movement in the chamber. Taking one last look at the room, I wondered if maybe there was a doorway to the right or left that I couldn't quite see. I decided to take a quick check. No, Eric! That way, I could say I scouted the next room if the Baron's son questioned me. I leaned in further, on alert, ready to run, remembering the Ankek had spit acid. I didn't see anything and cautiously got a little further in. Oh, this is such a trap, bro. I looked up, searching the wall of the dome. Nothing. I moved to get the half step back and felt for the passageway. But the passageway was gone. In its place was a solid wall. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god, dude. Oh. My heart raced as I felt the wall. I had barely entered the room, if at all. Maybe it was an illusion, some type of invisibility. I slid left a few feet and then right along the wall, feeling for the passage. I felt a tremor under my feet and swore. Why didn't anyone fucking tell me that a dungeon could lock you in a room? Now I was going to die to whatever horrendous insect swarm came after me. I drew my short sword, pulled a shield from my dimensional space, and turned to face whatever spawn crawler from under the earth. The ground in the center of the chamber rippled, and the body of a massive black scorpion erupted. Rip, no snail. The stinger swayed 15 feet in the air. And each of its 2 claws was as big as a person. Holy! I waited with a racing heart. I could win by sending part of its body to my dimensional space, as I had done with the bullet, as long as it was just one Schwarzenegger-sized scorpion. Nothing else came, so I started moving along the wall. The scorpion located me and turned to follow my movements. It seemed cautious. Maybe it was stunned that only one person had come to challenge it. It tested its claws with reverberating snaps in the air. The hovering stinger did a hypnotic dance as its 8 legs brought it slowly forward. I prepared my dimensional space. Fuck! I still had the stone pillar stored in there. New plan. Drop a big rock on a big bug. I increased my pace along the wall, and it finally charged me. I did my best to time the stone. Which was the stone pillar again? I don't remember. Why does he have a stone pillar? Right! Right, he took it from a mountain while pissing. I forgot. Right, that's amazing. Correct, you're correct, Tag. Thanks. I completely forgot. Right, okay. I did my best to time the stone. The edge of the stone materialized at the end of my sword arm, extending 10 feet forward and looming over the confused bug. The stone hung in air for a moment before falling. One of the claws extended and reached for me. I rolled away, but it was not necessary. The cylinder crushed the body of the scorpion. Hey. An internal fluid splattered in every direction, covering me in metallic-smelling bug juice. Nice. Well, he does have water right outside. I focused on my ether and swore. The mass of pulling the object had drained all my ether in one go. I scanned the room, thinking my bad luck would have a second scorpion show up. The stinger started to fall like a fallen tree toward me. I tumbled out of the way as I pierced the ground. It would have missed me by a few feet, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Well, now it is. Now it is. The slimy fluids covering me were now coated with dirt from my roll. I spit something foul from my mouth. Ew. I walked around the chamber and found a shoebox-sized stone chest in the center of the room. I breathed, relieved. Constantine had said that if the reward chest appeared, all threats had been handled. I put down my shield to inspect the box. The box was similar to the others we had found when defeating the previous monsters. I moved cautiously past the scorpion, wishing I had an essence collector to use on it. I was about to open the chest when I remembered the trap Stelmar had mentioned, instead using my sword tip to flip the lid open. Very good. Nothing happened. Oof. Inside were 20 shiny gold coins and what looked like a pendant. Ooh. A silvery chain was connected to a hexagonal brass coin, featuring an array of fine lines and small blue gems embedded at intersections on both sides. It resembled the patterns that made up the discs on the translation amulet I had during training, but this one had much finer and more intricate work. Something expensive? I picked up the obviously magic item. It felt light in my hand, more like the density of plastic than metal. I thought about wearing it and channeling ether into it, but since I didn't know what it did, I decided to store it away with the gold coins, and that his ether was like basically depleted because he fucking pulled out the stone pillar. Maybe as a little bit, but you know. I stepped over to the dead scorpion and wondered what kind of essence the beast would have yielded. I touched the carapace, thinking I could possibly pull the essence to myself with my ability. I focused and tried for a few minutes before giving up. I couldn't feel anything happening and felt silly for trying. No, you have to try, Eric. Good job for trying. I thought better of leaving the empty chest and stone cylinder. If they came down here to check this room, I needed to erase as much evidence as possible. Although the giant crushed scorpion, still losing fluids, was a dead giveaway. Unfortunately, my ether hadn't recovered enough to put anything in my space. I buried the chest, as that was the best I could do, then hobbled back to the water chamber. Hopping across the stones this time was not fun, and I fell on each landing as my knee would not bend properly. When I got to the far side, I quickly stripped and began to wash my clothes and armor in the water. All the tales of glory in combat never mentioned the after-battle cleanup. Cleaning up the mess after a fight was never pretty, and this was the second time for me. The messy bullet being the first. The glowing fish seemed attracted to the gore being washed into the crystal clear water. They were not carnivorous and just seemed like fat trout with glowing scales. I wondered how they might taste and wished I had a fishing rod. I was in my undergarments with everything laid out to dry when Constantine came down the tunnel to check on me. It's been 4 hours, Eric. What? Castile said she would come back after 2 hours. Are you down here bathing? Humor laced his voice. Castile was getting worried, and I have some bad news. Oh, fuck you, dude. What now? He was staring at my swollen and red knee, and knelt to inspect it. Heal, please. Well, don't keep me in suspense. Is the cave the home of a dragon? I asked while I started putting on my wet clothes. No, much worse. Wait, are we still naked? Dude, Constantine, please. Castile is sending you to escort Justin Cicero back to his father. Yes! Yes. Constantine admitted. She's giving him the griffin egg. What? And you are to store it in your space so it gets there safely. She's doing it so she can get the leech away from her company. Report to the Legion headquarters when you reach Varvao. Varvao. They will tell you where to find our company. Will at least Rena come with me? How far is Varvao? I asked, concerned. 350 miles, give or take. I have no idea what that is because I don't know miles, but it sounds far. But there is good news, so it's far. Your little mage friend is going with you. Yay! Yay! Constantine chuckled. Hell yeah. Dude, what a trio. What a fucking trio. Rena is coming with me? Is that a good thing, with the first citizen being with me? I asked, thinking of her safety. 1 mile is like 2 kilometers, I think. Oh, okay. Still, it's far. Most likely he will not touch her. Oh my, okay, maybe a bad trio. I didn't think of this. Rumor is she's promised to one of the Emperor's sons, he said, but he didn't sound confident. He pointed at my knee. Let Linus know, and he'll give you a potion to heal up. I had finished dressing and was working on my armor. Why are you being so nice to me, Constantine? You don't have the best reputation among the others. Constantine spat into the water. I am tired of seeing young men like you die. I cannot tell why I thought you were different. Maybe one of the gods is pushing me to keep you alive. I do not know. Just accept it. He turned and walked up the passage. I packed my things up and hobbled up the passage. When I reached the safe room, there was no one there. I hobbled all the way back to the dungeon entrance and passed through at a walk this time. Vilmar yelled, About time, Eric! Get some food and pack up your gear. We will be heading out shortly. I looked around the chamber. The tents were all rolled up. Justin was arguing with Mage Castile, and I decided I did not need to become involved. I got some food and went to eat it next to Rena, who wore a sad expression. Sorry, Eric. Your fancy new tent is over there, but you're going to be carrying it for him. Rena shook her head. Now I got to be a pack mule. At least I had warmed out of carrying the spinnerets. Maybe I would have to return the gold coin. It is what it is, I said to Rena. Linus came to me and handed me a healing potion. Constantine must have already talked with him. I sat on the ground next to Rena and drank the potion. It was like a warm feeling spreading through my body and numbing me. The heat increased around my knee. I could feel the ether of the potion working and the swelling going down. After a few minutes, I could bend my knee easily again. I had magical healing performed by mages before, but this was different. The mage's healing was focused, while this potion was more like a swarm covering my body than focusing on the injury. I chatted with Rena for a while, telling her about the dungeon. Mage Castile finally approached with Justin Cicero, Firth, and Wheelie. Castile said, When we get back to the horses, you three will escort First Citizen Cicero and Mage Rena to the city. I had a lot of questions, but Castile spun and left, clearly not in a good mood. Justin held out the griffin egg. Justin is such a good name for him as well, by the way. Put this in your space, Legionnaire. After I put the egg in my space, he just walked away. I could see the other members of the company eyeing us. Justin had seized the prize, and the malice was palpable. I would have to ask more about how the First Citizens fit into the empire I now served. What was the First Legion? Wooly and Firth approached me. The older soldier, Firth, spoke. Looks like we'll be babysitting you again. At least you get to ride. Benito will have to ride pillion with someone when we leave until we get him a new mount. Soon we were all headed out for the mountains and back to the horses. I'm excited, but also I will hate it. Well, I would have hated it if I was there. But now I'm reading it, so it's very funny. Chapter 18. Getting Answers. I struggled as we walked through the mountains to reach the horses. My pack weight had doubled. The good news was the healing potion had done more than just heal my knee. All my aches, pains, and scabs were gone. Vilmar told me a simple healing potion, like the one I had taken, cost about 5 gold and could heal soft tissue injuries and mend bones. A full healing potion ran about 50 gold, but could bring back someone from the brink of death and align and repair broken bones. Our company had 8 simple healing potions and 9 full healing potions. Damn, we're rich! The potion's ingredients only cost about 20% of their value, but the alchemists needed to be exceptionally skilled. That was why magic porters were in such high demand, since the valuable potions wouldn't expire in my dimensional space. Doing the math, a single full healing potion was worth what I would make in 10 years as a soldier. Oh my god! 10 years for one? Oh, I mean, I guess it's a life-saving thing, but whole 10 years? Oh. No. I nervously asked if I would be charged for the simple healing potion. Oh no. Adrian laughed. Only if you drink one without permission. I relaxed slightly, and he continued. Castile does everything she can to keep us alive. A lot of mage company commanders have a healing spell. Castile does not, so she spends quite a sum on potions. We may take all the shit missions, but we also get more in return. It was definitely something for me to think about. The first citizen was carrying nothing but his sword and belt pouch. Oh, he has a sword. I bet he doesn't know how to use it. Firth and Willie shared the load with me, but Justin Cicero still had 4 times as much gear as a normal legionnaire. The other men were weighed down with griffin meat, so we were not the only ones suffering. I stayed close to Firth as we traveled to ask questions. I asked Firth, "So, what is a first citizen?" He turned back to see the man walking amid the company with the cockiness that irritated everyone around him. Firth said quietly, "They can trace their lineage back to the First Legion. The First Legion consisted of some 4,000 men who arrived from another world and carved out the Talian Empire." From another world, you say? So I can be the second Legion. If there isn't one already, that is. Only about 300 survived the founding wars, but their descendants are the only ones who can own land in the Empire. They control all the 17 provinces of the Empire with an iron fist. Or maybe we're also in the First Legion lineage. He checked on Justin Cicero again before continuing. Even being a descendant of a member of the First Legion does not grant you the right to be considered a first citizen. Oh, fuck. There is a substantial tithe required to the Emperor. Some of the nobles only elevate the inheriting son to the status of a first citizen. Others, like the Cicero patriarch, have enough coin to elevate their entire brood. He looked at Justin and said quietly, "They even do so knowing their child is an idiot." I processed Firth's words. It made sense with the blended terminology of Rome and medieval Europe if travelers came from all eras. Was the direction one way? Maybe there was a way back to Earth. Did any of the First Legion ever return back to their own world? Dragon's piss, Eric. What do I look like, a scholar? I have no idea what happened some 2 millennia ago. Firth rasped with good humor. Dragon's piss. That's awesome. Later in the hike, I asked, "Have there been other arrivals from other worlds?" Firth shrugged. "Is your homeland so small you don't have myths about them? They appear and are brought before the Emperor, then are never heard from again. I do not think there has been one in the Italian Empire in 300 years. But you should talk to a mage or scholar, not me." I nodded, figuring that 300 years ago someone had brought the idea of noble ranks, barons, dukes, etc. Maybe even earlier than 300 years, as Firth's grasp on Italian history was pretty weak. I was silent for a long time. On a long, slow climb, I inquired, "Why can a first citizen command so much power? He just took the griffin egg from Mage Castile. He didn't do anything to help get it, and the essences from the dungeon as well," I said. He laughed. "That is because the first citizens ran requisition anything they want. If we are not fighting or in danger, that is." He looked back, checking on Justin again. "Don't worry. Mage Castile will log what we took from us at the Legion office. Justin will at least have to pay fair market value to the Legion for what he took from us. We may even see a small bonus if they're feeling generous. He winked. What about the dungeon broom chest from the water room? I asked, remembering the contents had been part of my deal for being the bait and freezing the monsters. Firth pursed his lips. We never saw what was in the prize chest. We can't make false claims under the spell of a truth seeker, and as a first citizen, he does not need to submit to a truth seeker, so he got away with that one. I am sure Castile will make it up to you when we reunite with the company. He leaned in close. Castile and the company are going to race to Vartadria to register the new dungeon. We just have to make sure Justin Cicero takes at least 7 days to reach Varvao. This was a lot of subterfuge going on. What do we get for registering a new dungeon? I asked. The company should receive a 5,000 gold reward from the Adventurers Guild once it is confirmed. 5,000? He grinned madly. It falls outside of Legion business, so we should see the whole reward. Damn! If Mage Castile keeps to her regular pattern, then half the reward will be divided amongst the 26 of us after replenishing our potions. He patted my back, cracking a wide grin. Firth ensured no one could hear him before adding, I heard Justin order Mage Castile not to report the dungeon, but she's going to do it anyway. Hell yeah. She's extremely angry about this whole situation. We save his fucking life and he has the gall to take our prizes. Though we officially do not have any rights to the rewards. It's just hard to know an item's origin. This Justin Cicero is one of the worst first citizens I've ever dealt with. Most at least have common sense and courtesy. If I did get the gold, could I buy my way out of the Legion? Gain my freedom? I asked while we waited for the others at the bottom of a steep descent. I figured 2,500 gold was almost 100 gold for each man in the company. No, you're locked in for your 5-year contract. Fuck. With your ability, they may pull some tricks to keep you locked in, so be careful. I've seen it before. The best thing to do is not draw attention to yourself, Firth admitted. How long have you been in the Legion of the Lion? I asked as he started walking with the group again. 16 years next November. Whoa. Don't look surprised. It gives my wife and 5 children a steady stream of coin, and I get to use the brothels across the empire without getting hassled, he said good-naturedly. So he cares about his wife, but not that much. I didn't understand what would make someone enroll over and over again to risk their life. Was it the adrenaline rush? The path got easier as we began our final descent. Rena joined us, as the trail was now wide enough for more people. She told us about her flying excursions around her village and how they had found and conscripted her. She talked a lot about flying and what it was like. The freedom to go in any direction, to do what you wanted. I could tell she felt constrained in her current position. The horses and legionnaires were all there when we arrived. They had fought off a half-dozen wolves one night, and one of the horses had to be put down, making us 2 mounts short. Castile talked briefly with Justin before heading off northeast, 2 men riding pillion. Justin came to our small group, irate and swearing. He ordered, We make for Formica to resupply. Then we will make the best speed to Varvao. Firth and Willie took their time getting their mounts ready and did not speed up, no matter how much Justin swore at them. It was only a 10-mile ride to Formica, but we didn't get there until evening. I followed Firth's lead and dragged my feet as much as possible. We stayed in the same room with Rena that night, and in the morning we took time purchasing supplies, eating breakfast, and saddling the mounts. Justin was not stupid enough to travel alone to the lands, and I was also keeping his griffin egg safe in my dimensional space. Maybe when we reached one of the major roads in 200 miles, he would take the egg and sprint. But Firth planned to take him on an arcing route, avoiding the main road as long as possible. On the first day, we made only 20 miles of the 300, and I was sure Justin was now suspicious of our intentions. He approached me after dinner that evening. Legionnaire, I want you and me to ride on alone. My father's birthday is soon, and I want to make sure I make it in time. I went to piss after and consumed my last Apex endurance essence. Thankfully, no indigestion. And hopefully, no extra stone pillar. Firth had schooled me how to respond to the first citizen. Sorry, but I have been ordered to protect Mage Renna. I cannot leave her. Her face turned red as I said it. He knew we were stalling. We had a 300-mile trip, while Castile needed to go nearly 500 miles through some more dangerous and rough terrain. Willie was sure she would find an outlying farm to get horses for the men without. On our second day of riding, Willie scouted out some roving swamp rats he wanted to avoid, so we took a 4-hour detour. This was how each day proceeded. We rode cautiously in roughly the right direction, but avoided all possible conflict, spending an hour in the evening to find a defensible position. Thankfully, it was early in the season, and most of the more dangerous monsters had not migrated north with their prey, according to Firth. During the day, I did get a lot of experience with my horsemanship skills. Camp life did suck on the journey. The night watch was divided between Firth, Willie, and me. Some nights, Renna would sit and talk with me quietly. Justin complained something fierce every evening about our slow progress. On the fourth day, we ended up fleeing a troglodyte war party of 5. Firth made sure we galloped in the wrong direction. On the 5th night, we were attacked by lesser shadows and had to get the fire burning bright for the entire night to keep them away. On the 6th day, we circled wide of a deceased Trent, which was a massive living tree with visible root and no leaves. It took us 8 days to reach the walls of Varvao, fleeing every possible creature. Justin seemed a coward, unwilling to fight any monsters. So why do you have that sword? Since he was a first citizen, we would have been forced to defend him if he did fight, but he was willing to flee every time. Renna paused at the gates before leaning into me and whispering. Into me? I hope our paths cross again. Remain safe in your travels. She then rode to reunite with High Mage Dacian. Justin's parting words were not as pleasant. I can't wait. Give me the fucking griffin egg so I can take a portal to Oleus. Give me the fucking griffin egg. Justin, please stay. I love you. I gave him the egg, and he stormed off, leaving us the mount he had borrowed and all his gear. Oh my god. Are we done with him? I asked Firth. Firth shook his head. For now. I doubt he will be too happy after he finds out I can still beat him to report to a dungeon, but I suspect he already knows. How much power does a Baron's son have beyond being a first citizen? I asked as we rode through the gates ourselves. Firth was leading us to the Legion office and barracks. Well, there are 17 provinces and 16 dukes to run all the provinces, besides the Emperor's personal province. Each duke has a count in charge of each city and 5 to 10 barons that manage regions of their province. I'm guessing there are maybe 100 barons in the entire Italian Empire. Some are more powerful than others. Baron Cicero supplies all the horses to the standing army and the legion. That's nearly 2,000 new riding mounts, and an additional 1,000 war mounts yearly, Firth explained. He still have another egg, right? Does he? Because I was thinking about that as well. I don't think he does. Did he take one when he went to the nest and didn't tell anyone? So that guy fucking sucks. Yes, he did. What? We have an extra egg? I had completely forgotten. Well, that's amazing then. Then we have an egg. We have an egg. Get fucked. But can we tell anyone about it? That's the question. I guess we can. Willie added, a lot of us knew Justin's pathfinder, Marius. He used to be in the Legion and was a good man. I think part of all this was Castile getting some payback for us for his death. Firth was nodding in agreement. It would have been easier just to leave him in the dungeon, I said seriously. Mage Castile doesn't like to fail. She sees everything to the end. You'll learn that soon enough, Firth replied. So what do we do? I asked. We report in, and there should be a message from Castile on where we are to meet up with them, Firth said as he dismounted in front of the Legion office. Oh. Chapter 19. Self-Assessment. The Legion office was more like a tavern than a formal building. A dozen men in Legionnaire armor were eating at the tables, alongside another dozen men and women in civilian clothing. Most of the civilians, judging by their well-muscled builds and casual attire, were likely off-duty Legionnaires. The size of this city surpassed any I had visited before, so the presence of 24 Legionnaires inside did not surprise me. I followed my mates to the bar. Firth ordered 4 ales and paid for them. He handed one to each of us and took 2 for himself as we went to sit at a table. We received a few glances, but no one approached us. I asked Firth, so what do we do now? You just asked. After we finish these, he raised his 2 mugs. I'll shower, hit the local brothel, and then check for messages from Castile. Nice priority. He sipped his ale, and I was momentarily speechless. It seemed like checking for messages would be more urgent. I asked, can I head out and check out the city? Wheeler responded, no problem. Be back here in 4 hours. You might want to shower first. You smell like shit, horses, and sweat. He gestured down a hallway. Showers are that way. They'll wash your clothes and treat your leather armor. Firth added seriously, don't run off, Eric. It won't take long for the Legion hounds to track you down. The punishment is always death. With that sobering thought, Firth headed to the showers. I followed, stripping in front of an attendant, a boy who placed all my items in a box labeled with the number 44. Why do you have to say that you stripped in front of a boy? He bowed. Your items will be ready in 2 hours, Legionnaire. You didn't take your coin purse, he noted, pointing at it. It was empty, but I unclipped it anyway and carried it with me, presuming he didn't want any questions about missing coins to arise. The facilities included a cold shower to scrub off the dirt, a hot soaking pool, and a scented oil rub. Although the hot soaking was relaxing, I spent little time there due to my eagerness to explore the city and my discomfort at sitting in a communal bath with half a dozen other naked men discussing battle strategies. They were all familiar with each other, and despite our common profession, I felt out of place. After drying off, I had 3 scented oils to choose from: lavender, honeysuckle, and coconut. I chose honeysuckle. Not seeing Firth, he must have hurried through to reach the brothel. My clothes were not ready, so I was left with only linen robe to wear while I waited. Only a linen robe to wear while I waited. I love that it's included which scent of scented oil he chose. That's cute. I slipped into a closet, retrieved my simple clothes from my dimensional space, filled my coin pouch with gold and silver, and exited through the back door. I quickly found my way to the streets, and after asking a couple of passerbys for directions, I headed toward the trade district. My pouch was bulky under my pants. I kept one hand near it, wary of pickpockets. Okay. The city was bustling like a vibrant open market, with rows of tents selling all kinds of goods. What I really sought was an essence collector or an assessment tablet. After inquiring, I was directed to a small, elaborate fountain in a cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac? I have no idea what that is. Unlike the tented stalls, this area had permanent shops. Magic shops, specifically. The security here was tight, with about a dozen city guards patrolling the area. So are the guards tight, or reflecting the importance of the goods sold here? Oh my god. I first entered a bookstore. A few patrons were browsing the shelves, and a middle-aged woman with a noticeable mole on her shin approached me. "Can I help you?" she asked. I managed to keep my gaze from fixating on the mole and asked, "What the fuck? I'm looking for a book to help my niece learn to read. She's just started and needs something intermediate." She smiled warmly, appreciative of my purported motive. "I have a few things, although you might want to try one of the general stands in the market as well," she said as she motioned me to follow. She showed me 3 books. After some haggling, I managed to get the price down from 13 silver to 10. Oh, great job. Despite their worn condition. One book was a child-friendly history of the Italian Empire. Another was a collection of children's stories about the brave adventurers from the guild fighting orc hordes, and the last was a basic dictionary. I thanked her and returned to the fountain. I asked a guard about essence collectors, and he informed me brusquely. "You can only buy them from Empire-regulated shops. Their sale is highly regulated." I apologized as I backed away, realizing that if collectors could be used on living beings, such restrictions were understandable. I considered having my dungeon amulet appraised, but I decided against it, fearing undue attention if it were exceedingly valuable. Instead, I rented a tablet reader in private, paying a whole gold for the privilege to assess my physical and magical capabilities without drawing attention. The reading went incredibly well, affirming my physical, mental, and magical capabilities. Okay, here we go again. Physical, strength +2, power +2, quickness +3, dexterity +5 and +3? What? Endurance +10 and +8, constitution +5, coordination +2. So wait, so maybe the other plus is like because of the essences or something? Mental, intellect +3, reasoning +4, perception +2, insight +3, resilience +1, empathy +1, fortitude +4, ether pool +2, channeling +4, ether shaping +2, ether tolerance +1, and ether resistance +1. Damn, he's doing very well now, I would say. High scores. I remembered my last assessment over 6 weeks ago. Since then, I had consumed a major essence for dexterity and 3 epic essences for endurance, although my magical values had improved. My ether increased from 12 to 14, and my channeling from 11 to 14. My ether shaping had maxed out. Damien had explained why I would never be able to cast spells. To write spell forms with my ether, I would need at least 30 in my ether shaping statistic. Now that some time had passed, I could tell how limited my ability to control my ether was. I simply did not have the potential to be a true mage. The second plus means his max capacity increased. Ah, current points, and then permanent limit points. Got it. Okay. It's the first time that happened, so. But okay, sick. On a more positive note, my physical stats had greatly improved, particularly my endurance. My potential for endurance also increased from 87 to 95. This confirmed in my mind that my spell form was the convergence affinity was effectively utilizing what benefits I received from consuming an essence. Typically, it would take dozens of apex essences to raise my endurance potential by just 1 point. The gains still seemed excessive. I wasn't training 12 hours a day as I had during Legionnaire training. Was I overlooking something? Did my time in the dungeon play a role? I was aware that as my ratings approached my potential, it would become increasingly difficult to improve them. I had been pushing my body hard, albeit for much shorter periods than before. A knock at the door signaled that my time was almost up. I set up the magic affinity tablet to check for rare magics first and shadowed my ether. The tablet displayed everything I had anticipated. Okay, here we fucking go. Rare magics. Space 98. Yes. Time 90, Displacement 61, Materialism 9, Worlds 88, Void 22, Convergence 74. There was no change to any of my affinities that I remembered. I quickly burned the numbers into my memory. I reset, switched the tablet to elemental affinities, and channeled my ether into the tablet. Elemental magics, common. Fire, 0. Air, 0. Water, 0. Earth, 0. Lightning energy, 8. Spirit healing, 19. Nature plant, 0. My heart dropped a little. My healing affinity was just 19. Yeah, but it's the highest you have. I should be able to learn a spell form to help with my healing, but it would not be exceptional. Still, any healing spell form would be greatly welcomed. The knock at the door came again, and I rushed to the last reading, the uncommon magics. What about the rare ones? Unaffiliated magics, uncommon. Charm Mind, 5. Illusion, 0. Clairvoyance, 0. Protection Guardian, 30. Necromancy, 0. Sad. Celestial, 0. Abyssal, 0. I reset the tablet and stood up. Although I discovered nothing earth-shattering, I was reassured to see that I still possessed massive affinities in the rare magics. I found myself wishing for a book that could suggest potential spell forms for my protection affinity. I was aware that there were Apex essences out there that could increase my magic affinities. Rena had mentioned that High Mage Dacian was seeking the Apex Earth affinity essence. I pondered whether my convergence ability, which maximized the benefits of essences, might also enhance my magic affinities. Could my convergence spell form possibly push my potentials beyond 100? According to what Damien had explained, 100 was the limit for humans. The door opened, and the proctor motioned for me to leave. Someone else had paid and was waiting. I thanked him and stepped out into the street, spending some cash at various food carts as I strolled through the magical market. I still had 20 gold coins from the dungeon chest, but I hesitated to spend them, wary of my insufficient knowledge and the potential to overpay or purchase unnecessary items. After nearly 4 hours, I decided to head back to the Legion Hall, figuring I would have more time to explore the markets tomorrow. When I entered the hall, it was bustling with activity. The number of legionnaires had tripled, and the tables were fully occupied. Willie waved me over to a table where Firth was sitting with a man I did not recognize. A blonde man in leather armor. Ooh. Leather. Firth introduced the man as soon as I sat down. This is Prefect Bacchaeus. Bacchaeus? He runs the message dispatch and just handed us our orders. Willie interjected with clear frustration. We're being sent to the Western Front, to the city of Maca. Maca. Fucking Justin Cicero must have pulled some strings to screw over Castile. Prefect Bacchaeus looked surprised, and his discomfort was evident. Curious, I asked, what does that mean exactly? The Western Front is against the kingdom of Bartiradia, right? I had seen some maps, but was far from an expert. Prefect Bacchaeus handled a sheet of paper and explained. It's 1,500 miles from here. The borders there are constantly shifting. Mage Castile has been tasked to reinforce the city, not to engage directly on the battlefront. Firth leaned back, clearly annoyed. We've heard that line before. During the Pegasus campaign, the defense of Amatalos and the Emperor's diplomacy mission to the Heptarchy. They always tell us these missions are a break, like taking eggs from a hen. Then you find out the hen has 5 inches claws and a 5-foot tongue that can strangle you. Oh, with its tongue. Nasty. True story, Willie chuckled, then took a long swig of his ale. Prefect Bacchaeus, feeling out of place with the informality, stood up. The portal to Matcha will open just after the midday bell tomorrow. Make sure not to miss it. he instructed before departing. Once he was gone, Firth cursed under his breath. Those fucking rich sons of the favored, he muttered, clearly referring to Becaeus. That guy has never and will never see real combat, yet he earns 10 times what we do. After letting off some steam, Firth seemed to calm down, though I sensed his outburst was partly for show. To me, it didn't matter whether he faced monsters or enemy soldiers. It was all dangerous. Keeping my thoughts to myself, I listened as Firth continued. We're not cavalry, so no horses on the front line. Eric, make sure to gather our gear from the horses before heading to the bunks tonight. Willie, prepare 3 days' worth of provisions before you turn in. Finishing his drink, Firth stood up. I'm off to stir the rumor pot and see what falls out. He then moved to join a rowdy table of intoxicated legionnaires still in their armor. I decided to grab some food at the counter, still hungry from the day's activities. As the barkeep slid another ale toward me, he asked, You're with Castile's company, right? I nodded as I tore into a chicken leg. Is Linus still with you? He inquired further. Linus? With the barkeeper? Damn. Good job. Again. Okay. I nodded, and the barkeep smiled, handing me a bottle of amber liquid. He saved my life once. Tell him Nolan says hello and that I'm still kicking. Grateful, I accepted the bottle, and after finishing my meal, I retrieved my freshly cleaned clothes and gear from the bathhouse. I carried it to the stables and found our packs neatly arranged on the shelves. I pulled an apple I had brought with me and walked to Ginger, my horse. Sorry, lady. This is the end of the line for us. We had some good times. You're a good horse. I rubbed her down one last time and fed her the apple. Bye, Ginger. I spent the next 2 hours going through the bags and packing our gear into 3 backpacks, stashing the books, luxury tent, and bedroll in my dimensional space when no one was watching. Each backpack weighed about 60 pounds when I was done. Carrying them to the common room, I followed a drunk Firth's directions to bunk room 7, where I deposited each pack on a bed, reserving the 4th for myself. The room was empty, with 4 floor-level beds, sporting mattresses that smelled out of the last occupant's sweat. Despite the less than ideal sleeping conditions, I quickly fell asleep, only to be woken later by Willie and Firth, returning at different times. Firth, particularly inebriated, collapsed next to the pack I had prepared for him, while I tried to settle back into sleep. Chapter 20. Displacement Mage. I slept heavily, even with the noises my roommates made during the night. Like together or in the morning, Willie woke us. Firth had instructed us not to leave the Legion office building, so I headed to the baths and soaked in the hot tub for an hour. Meanwhile, I had my clothes washed for free and changed into my Legion gear. For free? Hell yes! The box I received this time was numbered 36 and much smaller. After my long soak, I waited for my freshly cleaned clothes to be returned. When I received the box, I paused. This wooden box was the perfect size, closely matching what I had claimed was the size of my dimensional space. I moved the box into my space, appropriating it for greater utility. From now on, I would no longer have to guess if I was exceeding my storage limitations, at least what I told everyone they were. I decided to use the box for Legion business. How had I not thought of this solution earlier? That's so fucking clever. Feeling quite pleased with myself, I returned to the common room. Willie teased me about spending 2 hours in the baths. At the table, we all repacked our gear, trying to squeeze in the food Willie had procured. Eric, we're heading to the war front. It's crucial to take as much food as possible, Firth advised. As much good food as possible, Willie added. A legionnaire marches on his stomach, Eric. We're going to be stationed in army camps, and their food is terrible. Hoard whatever non-perishables you can, when you can. If you can squeeze any spices into your little magic space, do it now. They are worth their weight in gold during a siege, Firth explained. Siege? What are you talking about? I asked, suddenly anxious. The rumors last night suggested the kingdom's plans to push deeply into Empire lands and surround Matcha. The Emperor intends to draw as many enemies into the surrounding land as possible before wiping them out with a surprise attack. At least, that's what I gathered from the 20 men I drank with last night. Then again, we're practically on the other side of the Empire, and what these drunkards know might be unreliable, Firth concluded. After our packs were ready, Willie led me to the Legion's goods warehouse. It was a different experience from last time, when I had freely taken what I wanted without oversight. Now, Willie filled out a requisition form, waited for it to be reviewed, and answered several questions about why he needed various spices like pepper flakes, garlic powder, onion powder, dried oregano, dried rosemary, and paprika. Paprika. I said it in Swedish. Paprika. Paprika. Eventually, Willie received several large glass containers filled with these spices. When I inquired about Kraken salt, Willie laughed. These spices are worth a gold or two each. Kraken salt in one of these containers would cost about 100 gold. It's made by alchemists, and you won't find it in a Legion supply room. The attendant adding the large glass jars to the counter commented, Kraken salt costs about a gold an ounce, quite literally worth its weight in gold. The last Kraken was slain some 4 years ago. I know. I was there, Willie quipped. Can you fit all these into your space? Our cook will be thrilled, and you'll be hailed as a hero of taste. Since they're in a glass containers, we can't just pack them. I managed to fit all 6 containers into the crate in my dimensional storage. We filled the remaining space with small leather bags of sea salt until the crate was full, and I informed Willie that I couldn't store anymore. As we left to rejoin Firth, I asked, So, are there no supplies available out in the city of Matcha? Luxury goods are rare on the front. The challenge is the time it takes for goods to reach the city. The city has only one displacement mage, and the affinity is rare and difficult to master. They have limits on how long they can hold a portal. Also, once the siege starts, the enemy might establish a blockade around the city, preventing the use of portals, Willie explained. Firth beckoned us over, and we hoisted our packs, each now weighing over 70 pounds, not including our leather armor and blades. I had 2 short swords and 2 curved blades. I wasn't carrying a spear, but I planned to add a few to my dimensional space. We followed Firth to the street and toward the upper city. As we walked, Firth warned, If you see Vincent Cicero, keep your mouth shut. He was speaking to Willie, but I took note of the warning too. So who's Vincent? Vincent? Is it another one of the sons? The clothing of the people became increasingly opulent as we followed Firth to the portal. The square where the portal was located hosted a full company of legionnaires guarding it, underscoring its importance, a task too critical to leave to city guards or the army. The portal itself was a large stone archway set upon light gray stone, adorned with black runic markings, while the archway itself was of plain black stone. Cool. In front of the portal, several individuals laden with gear were gathered. Most appeared to be merchants, but a few were soldiers. Firth approached one of the legionnaires guarding the portal and handed him our orders. After a careful inspection, the legionnaire waved us forward. Firth warned, When the portal is activated, move quickly into it. It's like a dungeon gate. You'll be slightly disoriented after you pass through. Try not to fall on your face this time, he said with a grin. We didn't have to wait long. While I was speaking with a merchant from the kingdom of Nausis to the south, a loud bell chimed twice, prompting everyone to face the portal. About 40 of us were present. A mage in bright yellow robes approached a small monolith guarded by a pair of legionnaires. Firth chuckled at my intense focus. Never seen a portal opening before? You must be from a backwater kingdom, he teased. The mage placed both hands on the pillar. The air around us buzzed with electricity as the black stone surrounding the portal began to glow blue. The runes beneath us echoing the blue light. The archway shimmered. transforming into what looked like a heat haze. As two bells sounded, everyone surged forward. I joined the crowd, stepping into the arch. Crossing the portal felt akin to entering a dungeon. On the other side, the air was heavy with moisture, and the buildings, constructed of a drab grayish wood, formed a stark contrast to the previous setting. I had little time to absorb the details, as Firth was already marching toward a tall citadel made of blue-gray stone, and I hastened to follow. Inside the bailey, dozens of soldiers from the regular army were either drilling or resting. Unlike what one might expect, they did not appear war-weary. Firth led us into the fortified building, turning left into the first room, where I recognized some familiar faces among the legionnaires. Orson, Matteo, and Felix. Dropping my pack, I joined them. "Eric, you survived the first citizen," Felix greeted with a grin. "Did everyone in the company make it here safely?" I inquired. Orson laughed. "Dante lost a finger to a giant snapper, and Flans broke his leg falling off his horse during a skirmish with some centaurs. Other than that, it was an easy ride." Matteo interjected, his voice strained. "Easy ride? We rode 15 hours a day at a steady pace. I can barely walk." I couldn't help but chuckle, remembering the jokes and the expensive pillow they had gifted me as a prank for my own previous complaints. "So, what's the latest on our mission posting?" Willie asked, eager for updates. Orson's expression turned serious. 3 Legion companies are stationed here in the Citadel. We're assigned to rotate foot patrols northeast and southeast. The soldiers will cover the road due east toward the Empire, where any skirmishes are likely to occur. The northeast is mostly forested, but has seen its share of Sprite's mischief. The southeast is boggy, known for just giant frogs, though a bullywog was spotted a few days ago. "What are—" I began to ask, but Orson, one of the company scouts, cut me off before I could finish. "Sprites are small fairies that can turn invisible. Bullywugs are frogmen. Both are troublesome in their natural habitats," he explained briskly. "So, which direction are we patrolling?" I inquired further. "Southeast," Delmar answered, joining our group. He then turned to Matteo. "Eric will be bunking with you. Show him where." Matteo stood and gestured for me to follow. As I picked up my pack and trailed behind him, I paused to unload the jars of spices and bags of salt from my dimensional storage for Lurkin, the company cook. "Damn it, boy!" Lurkin exclaimed. "Your talents are wasted carrying around those life-saving potions. Whenever you want a double portion, just ask." Hey! Grateful for the potential culinary boon, I planned to thank Willie later. Still clutching the bottle of amber liquid intended for Linus, I hadn't yet encountered him. As we exited into the city, the streets were predominantly occupied by soldiers, and many shop fronts appeared abandoned. This city has been passed back and forth for the past 300 years. Matteo explained as we entered what was evidently a bakery, a large cold oven dominating the space. Not enough room for everyone in the Legion Hall at the Citadel, especially if you want to sleep peacefully, he pointed upstairs. 3 rooms up there, each has 2 beds. Felix and I share a room. Constantine occupies another, and the third is currently empty, though the beds are sized for children. He left me to my own devices, and I climbed the stairs to inspect the kids' room. The beds were indeed small, but by pushing them together and sleeping diagonally, I could manage. Just as I began to rearrange the furniture, Constantine appeared through the doorway. "If you're going to make all that noise, then you have the energy to practice. Grab your blades. There's a small yard in the back." "Constantine! Bro, why?" "Okay, I get it." So much for a nap. It seemed I was in for a thorough training session instead. Damn. What a journey this is. Indeed. It was funny and horrible to meet Justin. It was sad that Rena had to leave us. For now. I mean, she's coming back 100%. And I am excited to see how this siege mission goes next time.